Alright, I'm going to review you for your test for tomorrow, starting with finding the inverses here. Remember, the first thing you need to do is swap your x and y's, so it's really going to look like x equals 1/3 y plus 8. Now, a lot of y'all had trouble with this kind of question in the last test. The main thing we need to do is cancel that 1/3 by multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is 3 over 1. Well, that's just 3, so multiply both sides times 3. Okay, well, now then the 1/3 and the 3 cancel, and then the fraction's gone. Problem solved, right? That's all you got to do. Some of y'all made that way harder than it needed to be. So now I've got 3x equals y plus 8. Subtract the 8 from both sides, and I get just a y equals 3x minus 8 is my answer for the number 1. For number 2, kind of a similar thing. Again, let's start by swapping my x and y's. I've got x equals 4/5 y minus 3. Now here, I'm not going to cancel the fraction first. Okay, we did so in the other one because of the parentheses, but here I'm going to cancel the minus 3 by adding 3 to both sides. So then I've got x plus 3 equals 4 over 5y. Now we can cancel the 4 over 5 by multiplying both sides, and you do need parentheses on this, both sides times 5 over 4. If you do not have parentheses around the x plus 3 there, then that would be wrong. So then here's your answer for that one right there, for number 2. Remember on number 3 and 4, I told you guys about a nice little shortcut. I'm going to be changing from squared to square root. My 5 and my 7 are going to trade places, but the 7 is now going to become a plus 7 because it's changing signs. And the 5 is now going to be a minus 5. And so then that's my answer for that. And same thing on this here. A square root is going to be changing into a squared. And once again, my 8 and my 4 are going to swap. It's going to be plus 8 and plus 4. Oh, I can't write. There we go. Okay. On this one, we just need to create the table and then swap it. I'm going to write a new one down here where I have a little bit more space. So my x and my y's, it looks like we're starting at 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Now, I know that, looking at my problem, that the x minus 4 means that at positive 4, that's where my vertex is. So 4 and then the 1 is the y value of my vertex. So I actually know that from looking at, again, up here, that 4, 1 is my vertex. And then, again, just knowing what I know about parabolas, I know that this is going to be 1 higher, and then 3 more higher, so that would be a 5. There. Now, of course, if you don't know that, just put it in your calculator and figure it out. Now, that's my initial table. To get the inverse table, I just swap my x's and y's. So my F inverse table is going to be the exact same numbers, only now the 5, 2, 1, 2, 5 are on the left side, my x's, and then the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are over there. Now, I'm going to have a hard time trying to graph both of these on this, so I'm going to just sketch it mostly, but you guys need to make sure you graph them very accurately on the real deal. So the rough sketch that I'm able to do here is going to essentially look like this. Okay, so that's the original, and then the inverse is going to look approximately like this. Again, that's not perfect, and you do need to make yours look perfect when you do it, but using my iPad, that's as good as that's going to be. Here's something that y'all really struggled with is word problems. On this one, let's start by If it helps draw a picture, I've got a rectangle, and the rectangle has a length and a width. So, here's my width and here's my length. And, that's just the basic idea of what this thing looks like. We were given that length times width equals 30. And the other thing we're told is that the length of a photograph is 4 inches less than twice the width. Well, okay, so we've got an equation of that. Length means equals, then 4 less than twice the width. Well, less than is a switch word, so actually the minus, yes, it's subtraction, but it's not going to start with 4 minus. It's start with twice the width, which is 2w. And then the minus 4. Again, that's because less than is a switch word. So there's my equation that I'm able to write from that first sentence. And then once again, we said that area is just length times width, and it's 30. So taking all that into account, then I can substitute this 2w minus 4 into the L up here. So that would look like this. 2w minus 4 times the second w there equals 30. Again, I just took length times width, this formula up there, and I swapped out my L for my 2w minus 4. Now I'm going to distribute my w. So now I've got 2w squared minus 4w equals 30. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the 30 over because I'm kind of running out of space. You do have to subtract the 30. Why do you need to move this? Because you must have this equal to 0 in order to solve. It's a quadratic equation. I know it's quadratic because it's squared, and it must equal 0 to solve it. So I've moved the 30 over after I distributed, and now because it equals 0, I can solve this. And I'm going to solve it by factoring. I'm going to use the M&A method, and I'm not even going to take out, there's a common factor here. These things are all divisible by 2. I'm just going to do M&A like I imagine y'all would do the M&A method, which is to say that you would say the multiply number is 2 times 30, so my multiply number is, I'm sorry, that's negative 30, so negative 60 is my multiply number, and then my add number is negative 4. Well, the two numbers that happen to do that are negative 10 and positive 6. So then factor that's going to look like w minus 10 and w plus 6 equals 0. Don't forget the bottoms up. There's a 2 in front, so I need to divide both of these by 2. And so w minus 5 and w plus 3. Solutions are just the opposite signs, so it looks like it's going to be a positive 5 and a negative 3. Well, guess what? I can't have a width that's negative 3, so this one actually isn't useful. But the width being positive 5, that is useful. So w equals 5 is half of my answer. Then I just need to plug that back in way up at this, this equation. And so 2 times 5 is 10, minus 4 is 6. So then L is 6 is my other answer there. Now this one on the bottom, prove that these are inverses. Well, you got to do g of f of x or f of g of x, either way. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll do f of g of x. So if I'm setting this up as f of g of x, then my outer function is f. So what I want to do is I want to have the function f, negative 9 plus whatever my input is, x, will all be over 13. And, well, what's going inside my parentheses, what's going inside of my x, is this whole 13x plus 9. Okay, and then now I just need to simplify this down. Well, as it turns out, the minus 9 and the plus 9 cancel. By the way, we don't need to worry about those parentheses since there's no number to distribute there. So that's why I just skipped straight to that. So again, the negative 9 and the plus 9 do cancel. So that just leaves me with a 13x over 13. Then those 13's cancel and leaves me with just an x. Well, since the composition of these two functions simplifies down to just x, then yes, these are inverses. If they do not simplify down to just x, then you'd say no, they are not inverses. Now we're going to solve number 8 by factoring using the M&A method. My multiply number would be my first times less, which is 1 times 36, and my add number would be just the negative 15. Well, what multiplies to 36 and adds to negative 15? You can do some guessing and checking on your own, but you come down to negative 12 and negative 3. Again, I'm going to double check this. Negative 12 times negative 3 is positive 36. Added together, you get negative 15. Those are correct. So now I write that as x minus 12 and x minus 3 equals 0. I would have to stop to check to do the bottoms-up method, but there is no leading coefficient, so I don't need to do bottoms-up. That just means that the answers then are x equals 12 and x equals 3. Make sure that you go from factored form to solutions, because otherwise it's wrong. Now we are going to do some compositions, some basic compositions. Remember, that's where you take the inside piece, the number here, plug it into the function that it's closest to. So I'm going to plug negative 1 into f. And looking back up the f function, that's going to be 2 times negative 1 plus 3. Well, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 3 is positive 1. And now I'm going to take that answer, and I'm going to plug that into g. So then that's going to be 1 minus 2 squared minus 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Positive 1 minus 1 is 0, so then there you go. The answer for this first one is just 0. Once again, take the number, plug it into the function that it's closest to, take that answer, plug it into the next function, simplify that down, and that's your answer. So same thing for number 10 here, but this time I'm plugging negative 1 into g first. So doing that, we get, so plugging into g, we get negative 1 minus 2 squared minus 1. Okay, well, negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is positive 9, and 9 minus 1 is 8. Now I'm going to take that 8 and plug this into the f function, which would be 2 times 8 plus 3 is 16 plus 3, so that's 19. Okay? Now this is just more of the same, so number 11, plugging the 3 into the g function, so doing that would give me 3 minus 2 squared minus 1. Well, 3 minus 2 is 1, 1 squared is still 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0, so then that's what I get when I plug in 3 into the g function. Now I'm going to take that 0 and plug that into the f function. So that would be 2 times 0 plus 3. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3, so then that answer was 3. And then number 12, lastly, we've got f of negative 3 that we're going to figure out first. So I'm going to plug negative 3 into the f function, so it's going to be 2 times negative 3 plus 3. Can't right, there you go. Well, that's going to be 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Now I'm going to take negative 3 and I'm going to plug that into my g function. And so I've got negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. And 25 minus 1 is 24. So then that answer for number 12 is 24. All right, make sure that you go back and you rewatch any section that you didn't understand the first time. I promise you, if you watch it all and you get it all, you should do fine on the test. Anyway, good luck.